Welcome to the Indoor Tailgate. I'm your host, Adam Geyer, here with the boys. I got Anthony and Mike and our newest co-host, Craig Ervolino. How you guys doing today?
I'm good.
Pretty
It's silence. Everyone.
You
Way to jump in, everybody.
I'm still picking rice up off the floor.
I'm
right,
frozen with excitement.
I am absolutely thrilled right now. I know you
I'm
guys
just
can't
cold.
see it, but I am excited to be here.
All right, so I want to start by introducing Craig. Me and Craig have been friends for a while now, and we talked about doing a podcast for I can't even tell you how long, and we kept putting it off and putting it off. So I was excited when we could get him in here to do it. So Craig, if you want to just introduce yourself a little bit, tell us what sports teams you like, what sports you're into, and just let us know a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for having me, guys. I am excited. Me and Adam, we gone, back a long ways. Some may say too long, unfortunately. I'm excited. I'm a Jet fan. I don't like to, say that out, put that out there.
Be proud, brother.
It's hard. So I'm a Jet fan. Diehard Jet fan. I'm a big football junkie. So I need at least one winning team. So I'm also a Yankees fan. And then basketball, I'm kind of all over the place. I was a Bulls fan. I was an Orlando Magic fan. I just didn't really know. So I think now I'm going to stick with just being a Chicago Bulls fan.
All right. Also, if we can get this up on YouTube, there's that beautiful American flag behind you that Craig does custom made. So if anyone's interested, he sells them, makes them, and try to get you some money.
Hey, man. Hey, a little business trying to start it up. Try to start up. It's a fun little thing. I don't even have an Instagram page out for it yet, but
small steps.
That's it.
So the big news, obviously, we just had the Super Bowl pass this past coming week. I was seeing what do you guys think? What were your thoughts on the Super Bowl? Any takeaways from it?
I hated it.
What was that?
Terrible.
I hated it. It was horrible.
Very bad.
It was. You know what? It's better than the Rams Patriots one. I could tell you that. It was.
Yeah, but not by far. Not by far.
A little bit more offense. Both teams. And
I'm not saying I hate it because I lost a lot of money. That's just me being bitter. But no, I just a banged up O-line, questionable calls during the game that went Tampa Bay's way. Which I will say this, like, I haven't seen many Chiefs fans complain about the game, which I guess props to them because I thought all the calls were just BS. At least the drive with the Bronx, second touchdown, that pass interference that got called when Evans in the corner, they just tripped up and everything, and Evans flopped and sold it. Yeah. I thought that was just complete BS, but I'm just a gambler.
Yeah, I mean, I was in a minute pool and I had Kansas City 3 and Tampa Bay 0, and I had couple minutes there, and then they kicked their field goal, and I'm like, yes, and then the ref called offsides, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, so
that cost me another $200. I was so mad.
Yeah, I had 200 on the over, and that it was over 55.5, and it was just not KC didn't even score a touchdown, but I don't know, man. Mahomes was doing everything he could. There's nobody could catch a thing.
Mahomes was throwing balls right into the players' helmets, literally.
Exactly.
Tyreek Hill was had reflexes if I would be out in the field and have those reflexes that just hit me right in the face versus time. I mean, I understand Mahomes is a rocket arm, but come on, man, you're in the end zone. You just mossed 2 defenders. That could have been one of the best plays out there. And you just let it hit your face and oh, well,
dude was parallel to the ground, and it was the most beautiful pass that I've ever seen in my life.
He threw it 30 yards horizontally into the guy's hands.
It was a bullet.
That was the tightest spiral I have ever seen.
Yeah.
The ball didn't even look like a football. It was just flat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was just there's no wobble.
It was so beautiful. It hits Tyreek right in the face.
Right in the face.
Just
yeah.
One of the overrated wide receivers, I think, Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely apparent that they were missing their two left tackles, which I mean, their offensive line was just nothing. It was a shell of itself, and it showed that offensive line play really matters in this league.
Did you see the stat line that Mahomes like scrambled for like 497 yards or something like that?
Yeah, it's a new record.
Yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah.
The most, but yeah, it was like the most. They said in Super Bowl era. I'd be like, that's like the most in NFL history. I would think, almost 500 yards.
But you know that that's kind of one thing that bothers me with Mahomes a little bit is when he scrambles, he drops back like 30 yards.
Yeah,
like he turns and just runs 20 yards back.
But like to his credit too, like
he could throw it all.
Yeah, he could throw on the move and throw dimes, but like the way he can pivot and just stop on a dime, just make everybody in front of him miss, and then like at least gain a little bit of yardage after dropping back 30 yards. I think that's just insane.
Yeah, I think it's a real testament to his mobility, and
he'll be in like the next like 8 Super Bowls. So
yeah. But that's like, that's kind of his game. Like that's when they're at their best. I feel like once the play breaks down, they have the best players that just get open.
He's not a runner either. He's not a running quarterback. Like he'll run if he needs to, but he's not.
Right. He's more of an improviser than he is a runner.
He's not built to run. Like he runs weird.
He's got the weirdest run ever. Like his little jog.
The old man jog.
Yeah.
Don't pull. Some coaches like don't fall for that old man jog. He's really not tired. And he'll add a couple yards at the end of the run.
His voice doesn't match his face, but that's not
not Kermit, Kermit the Frog.
Yeah,
but he was doing all that, like rushing for almost like 500 yards, right? Or running around for 500 yards, not even rushing, but like all on like one foot because he had that ankle injury. He also had turf toe, which he just had a procedure on.
Right.
He was in the concussion
so he's doing all that
like,
while injured.
Yeah,
so that's that was really incredible.
That just goes to show you that like the NFL is still a team game, like it's not just have one quarterback position and that's it. I mean, I bet you could like, if you could put a decent quarterback around like a stellar team, they do just as well. Right. But like when you have the quarterback and then you have a phenomenal team and you're just unstoppable. And I think that what happened here is just that I don't understand why necessarily they would even have jitters since they're like their second time being back here, stuff like that, most of the players there. But I just say like, there was obviously Tampa just showed they wanted to win more. And it almost looked like that instead of Chiefs wanting to win, they were just playing not to lose at some point, which is not a mentality that I don't think any team should ever have, never should ever.
Yeah, I think they just came out sloppy. I think they got off to a sluggish start and they were just like, we'll turn it around. And then they never did.
They took a couple of sucker punches to the face and they just couldn't perhaps,
recover. I thought KC's like first initial drive wasn't terrible. I mean, Mahomes like scrambled, I think, for a couple first downs. They didn't look terrible. Like it looked like they had like decent coverage on the receivers, and Mahomes had to improvise, but they just never got past that. They didn't score a single touchdown. Like, that throws me off. The Kansas City didn't score a touchdown.
One of like the most highest ranking for scoring touchdowns, and they just got shut out.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. But to be honest, the game was like horrible, and like KC just couldn't do anything. But we've seen it before. They again beat down like against the Texans. Right, it was last year, and they were just down, and then they came out just won. And until it was like maybe 6 minutes left, 7 minutes left, I kind of always thought they're like, there's still a chance. It's
you know what?
Oh, yeah.
You know what's been using my measure now ever since that 28-3 comeback. I've been like, if it's halfway through the third quarter, you still may have a chance to do it. But as soon as it hits that like that 2-minute warning, not 2 minute warning, but like as soon as it hits that like the 2 minutes left in the third quarter, it's like no chance. That's why I use the measure, just that 28-3. I'm like, because those Falcons had that lead until like the first touchdown, like which came like I don't know, like 8 minutes into the third quarter, and they during at the that's when they got their touchdown, and you're just like, oh, there's the measure, just look at that.
Well,
all the time.
The funny thing about this Super Bowl is you looked on both sides and you're like, well, I'm not gonna bet against Brady, and then the other half is like, well, I'm not betting against Mahomes. It's like both those guys have proven throughout their career that they can just get the job done, and you're just like, something's got to give. And
like Mahomes' career is like still like
it just started, honestly.
Starting like I put that in quotes loosely, but like Like Brady could have retired 5 years ago, and he'd still be, in my opinion, the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah, they were showing his stat. They were throwing his things, and he's had 3 Super Bowl careers through his one career because he's been playing for so long.
I mean, he single-handedly has more Super Bowls than every franchise.
Yeah. But the one thing I did want to talk about too is I don't think we can count out the fact that they had home field advantage in the Super Bowl. I think that played a huge part of it too.
I'm about to say
the ability to stay on schedule, to sleep in your own bed. You can't count that out.
I was gonna say, we're talking about how the Chiefs fell apart, but can we just talk about like the fire that the Tampa Bay had, their defense flying around, making all these plays, and sure, some like as we were talking about the Kansas City with those holding calls, stuff like that. I mean, like this Tampa team just came out on defense like no other team. I think they matched up really well because they have a defensive line that can get at the passer and make them feel uncomfortable, and they have linebackers who are fast enough to cover the middle of the field. And I mean, who's the one corner number 24 on their team? Davis, I think is his last name. He's a good cover guy who can shut down a wide receiver.
Well, so I think safety Winfield too.
Yeah,
it's fast.
And Devin White too. On top of that, or not Devin White? Is it Devin White? Yeah, I think it's Devin White. Or
I mean, and even though they're old, like JPP and Ndamukong Suh, they're both still. I mean, just name value alone is just not.
Steve McClendon. That's another. It's a small. It's not a name everyone knows about, but when you have those veterans up there, battling, they know what to do.
Yeah, if you can get guys that can take on double teams and free up other guys, because I mean, you look at Shaquille Barrett's sacks. JPP is right there too. That if he doesn't get there, JPP is going to get there. They were collapsing the pocket right in on him.
And he's got such a long wingspan. He can get around people easily.
Yeah.
It didn't seem though you didn't have to really use too much technique to get through the KC offensive line.
Yeah, I mean,
one picture I saw, like there was 4 guys straight through the line, and all the KC linemen are looking back, and just Mahomes just starts running.
Yeah. And then what I was telling you guys last week, that Tampa Bay had to run the ball, and they couldn't stop Leonard Fournette. I mean, Fournette looked like a brand new, as if it was the first week of the season. Like he looked fresh, and you couldn't stop him.
He was getting comfortable. He was getting, he had to get acclimated to it, to the offense, and did good.
And then you have Leonard Fournette, and then you have Gronkowski, and Antonio Brown receiving touchdowns that game. I mean, like that was just like.
I don't like Gronk.
Using everything.
I'm over.
I know you're the biggest Gronk fan, Anthony.
I'm not
following Tom Brady, but I mean, he caught that first touchdown. Like, all right, that's pretty good, and he catches the second one, which I found even more impressive because he wasn't even supposed to be on that route. He was just supposed to go out and hit a smash route to like the top back right of the end zone. Noticed the corner was covering too much and just zipped across and just caught it and kept his feet in bounds. It was really cool. And then Antonio Brown just making that, it was just like, all right, well, who is he going to throw to next? Like you see, like everyone's talking about Godwin and Evans, but like, it's
Scotty Miller,
of course.
I think more of seeing the fact that Brady went up with Gronk and went with Antonio Brown. The only reason why is because Brady was like, I'm not losing this game. I'm showing everybody what I got. I have, however many years with Gronkowski, and then I have last year, 2 years ago, last year with Antonio Brown, and he's like, I'm going with what I know. Yeah, sure. I got Mike Evans. I got these flashy guys, Scotty Miller, Scotty Miller, is a good wide receiver. I think he'll probably be better this year more because I don't think Antonio Brown's going back, because he's going to demand too much money. But I think Brady's like, I'm not losing this game. It's like I'm gonna prove that I don't need Belichick. Saying, oh no, Brady can't win it without Belichick. He's the smarts behind it, but he's not the guy on the field. So he was like, I'm gonna prove it. So he went with what he knows.
I'm glad he brought that up because like, do you guys think that that Belichick's like quote unquote legacy is looked at maybe a little bit differently now, considering that Brady was still able to win a Super Bowl and Belichick's Patriots kind of sucked?
I'm gonna say no, because I think this year was besides 2007 when he had Randy Moss and everyone, I think this is the best cast he's had around him. I mean, you have Pro Bowlers at wide receiver, former Pro Bowlers at running back, and you have a defense that's probably almost as good as any defense the Pats have had. I think that I think Brady proved he's not just a systems quarterback, but I don't think you can take away what Belichick did.
Especially when you talk about the older times too, like when like the things that he made were like and let's think is not very new now, but they were very unique. No one's ever seen like the type of plays he'd be calling and like this whole system he'd run, which is amazing and stuff like that. And he was doing it with wide receivers that if they leave New England, they fall into a void. You don't really hear about them anymore. Like Amendola, Edelman. I mean, Edelman's still there, but I mean like Amendola, of course. And you're just like, going on. It's just I think Bill Belichick can take him away. He's always going to try his hardest to find a way to win. And to be fair, a lot of their starters opted out this year. I think they're like 13 starters, something like that opted out this season. I mean, because of COVID. So
that defense is still scary. I mean, they had I can't think of that linebacker's name.
Hightower.
That's a huge for their defense that controls the defense that calls out everything with they're seeing the field. Yeah, so and they lost, I think they had the McCourty brothers. They
still have them, I believe.
They had them, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Belichick, I mean, I'm a Jet fan, so I Patriots. But Belichick is I don't think this takes away anything Belichick is known for, because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, having Cam Newton first off last year, Cam Newton's done.
Cam Newton's
the guy
washed.
He's been destroyed. I mean, the guy battled through knee, shoulder, everything you could imagine. I mean, he's hit so hard he's trying to dress himself, and you see the outcome. I don't think Belichick's done. I think Belichick's gonna compete just because now Brady won.
Yeah,
I see Belichick fighting hard. He's like, oh, you know what? I got one in me too. I'll show you. You know.
I think once you can get that defense back, and they can get a guy in there who can at least throw the football.
System guy.
I mean,
that's all I need.
Cam Newton was throwing like 100 yards every game. Like, he was rushing for more yards than he was throwing. And I think if you can get another pocket passer, someone who can, do the similar things as Brady, I think, you can plug and play. But again, they still have to get wide receivers. They have to get another tight end in there. They have to build around whoever's going to play quarterback.
If I was New England, I might test the water with Jacoby Brissett, see what he can do.
Back to New England again.
They started.
That's where. From. Yeah, that's his origin story.
That's where if anyone knows him, it's Belichick.
I think with Belichick, he schemes guys open, like quick slants. That's why Brady, really left, because he wanted to show that he's got the deep ball.
Yeah.
He never threw the deep ball in New England. I mean, occasionally, whenever you had it.
When he had Randy Moss, he did it for a couple.
Exactly.
But other than
you have
that,
a guy who's it's just it's crisscross and run left and run right and screen pass. That's New England. So
yeah,
you just need a quarterback to be able to do that.
Which, I mean, I think helped him in the Super Bowl, because you saw if he didn't have anything, he just dumped it off to Fournette and got the easy yards and just kept the chains moving.
Yep.
So, all right, let's move. It's now the off season. We're gonna get into free agency.
Woo-hoo!
Yeah. All right, so
I was ready for the off season since week 8.
This is where the Jets always win the off season until the season starts.
Yeah. So we're gonna go position by position and talk about the top free agents, guys that we think are interesting. So let's start with the quarterbacks. The top 5 that I have are Prescott, Trubisky, Winston, Tyrod Taylor, Andy Dalton. Other ones are Fitzpatrick. And so who would you like to talk about, Mike? Which free agent are you most excited to see go somewhere else?
Just from the quarterbacks or in total?
From the quarterbacks.
From the quarterbacks, I really want to see what happens with Trubisky. I mean, he's not the most exciting player, but I mean, the Bears have a big decision to make, and I don't think the Bears are going to end up keeping him. I'm not sure they actually came out and said that officially, but he pretty much said before during like right before the playoff berth, saying that Trubisky has to make some kind of run before he really wanted to extend him and actually prove him as a franchise quarterback. And I think that he tried, but he just fell short heavily. And I think that speaks measures when it comes about him. So I mean,
do you think a fresh start will do him good, or
you know what?
See him back in Chicago?
I think for him, I think he'd best be in Chicago, right? But I couldn't see a fresh start hurting him at all. I think that if he does get a fresh start, it'd have to be somewhere that like he knows, someone knows a system about, like, you know, a system similar to Matt Nagy's, whatever his name is. And I think that as long as he keeps playing to those numbers, he can be fine. I mean, he's shown talent, yes, but he's also shown a lot of downsides, and you gotta figure out what those pluses outweigh the minuses, or vice versa. I just think that Trubisky, I think, is going to be the most interesting where he's going to go, because who knows? What if he ends up going to someplace like the Patriots we were just talking about before? Could Belichick do something with him over there? You know, or like another QB needy team going out all over the place. So I don't know. I think Trubisky's going to be a really cool QB to look out for during the offseason.
All right, Anthony, who are you most excited about quarterback wise?
I would, Fitzpatrick. I think, if anything, I think he'd be a good backup to Josh Allen in Buffalo. It's mainly, I think, it's because him and Allen have developed a chemistry over the last couple of years, kind of since he came into the league. I remember reading a thing where he said that Josh Allen said that he met Fitzpatrick, I think, at the Masters or something, and he's like, yeah, you're going to Buffalo, and this is like right before he got drafted. So, but I think, like, there's one thing about Fitzpatrick, he's always kind of stayed the same, and I think him showing out in Miami, like if Allen were to ever get hurt, I don't think you'd have to worry about, like, will we lose this game because we have so and so backing us up. I think if you have, I think you'd feel pretty comfortable putting in Fitzpatrick if, God forbid, Allen does get hurt, and you still would have a chance to win the game.
Yeah, I've always seen him as that guy that when you draft a rookie quarterback, you pick him up so that, someone who could teach the young guy, and, he's that bridge quarterback to help you transition into, your rookie.
Yeah. And he throws dimes. Like he throws like butter,
So you think he would go to like Buffalo or somewhere like that?
Yeah, I'd like to see him in Buffalo.
Buffalo reunion.
Back to Buffalo. Okay.
Little reunion there.
All right, Craig. What about you?
This is someone pretty well. Stepped up pretty good. I think Andy Dalton. I think he played his way into another contract or as a starting position somewhere. It wasn't astronomical numbers, but he still threw up some pretty good touchdowns. And, he had a lot of weapons, but Andy Dalton, I think, is a name to look out for. I was saying I think New England, because system quarterback just needs to make the throws, and he can make all the throws. He's got a big arm, and he can run a read option. He's kind of underrated with rushing. He has rushing touchdowns in the past,
I think he's led less talented teams to the playoffs before in Cincinnati. So,
I would like to see him Patriots or Denver, because Denver is another team that's just a quarterback away, and John Elway, likes signing quarterbacks, even though he's not he's not GM anymore, but he likes getting a quarterback. He doesn't mind taking a risk.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that'd be interesting to see.
I would take the easy way out and take Prescott. Obviously, I've been a Cowboys fan, and I've never been a big. I'm always a big get your money kind of guy, and I think that he's going to get it. Prescott has proven that he can, lead a team to the playoffs. I think his numbers have gotten better every year, and I think the Cowboys have screwed it up royally, where they could have signed him 2 years ago for half of what he's going to make now. So, I mean, it'll be interesting. They left him out of the hype video. It's going to be an interesting off season for him. I think.
Sounds like you're about to cry.
It literally looks like you are.
No, I honestly, if he goes, I don't know.
Are you swapping jerseys if he goes?
No. It'll definitely be a hard, but then you got to see what they do. If you can get 2 or 3 first round picks for him, I'm cool with it.
I can't wait to see him go to in a Giants blue jersey.
You don't get. Oh my goodness, can you imagine? You don't get rid of a start. You don't get your young uprising quarterback. You just don't do it.
I honestly think he's one of the top 6 quarterbacks. Like if you take Breeze,
6 is such a weird number.
No, I mean if you take the guys that are later in their career, like Rodgers and Breeze and all those guys out, I think it's hard to find 5 other guys that are better than Prescott, strictly numbers wise.
NFC.
No, I'm talking a whole NFL.
Whole NFL.
I think if you take those older guys out, I think you can make an argument that he's top 5.
He just knows that system really well, so that's why it's like I'm not disagreeing with you. He's good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see him going anywhere. That's my opinion.
I don't think he's going anywhere either. I think it's just going to be the Cowboys realizing they messed up and putting the money out there.
You just have to trade Amari Cooper. That's all right.
No, Amari Cooper means way too much to that team. If they're going to get rid of anyone, it's going to be Gallup. And I mean, I'd start listening to offers. Bro. Like I said, I'm down for trading Zeke. I think you get that contract off your books. Tony Pollard's good enough. You draft a running back. You can.
Oh my God, Tony Pollard.
Tony Pollard's been good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue.
I think this year is going to be big to see if they had the offensive line back healthy. You're adding 2 more All Pros to that offensive line again. We'll see. But
it's gonna be a different year too with the cap. The cap cuts. That's
which is why I think I think they're just going to tag them, honestly, and try to work something out then. But it's going to be interesting for sure. All right, so let's move on to the wide receivers. A lot of big names out there. I'm going to start off. I'm interested to see what happens with Galladay. Coming off a year where he didn't play a lot of games, he's been hurt. It'll be interesting because I think he's clearly a number 1. And you got to think of what teams, do the Jets go after him? Do the Giants go after him? A lot of these wide receiver hungry teams. And it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back.
You can also potentially see the Texans maybe going after him. They could possibly make a move on him.
Yeah.
With Will Fuller being out there, they're going to need wide receivers and do anything you can to kind of try to keep Watson happy. I think Detroit is a very undesirable place to go to right now. So Absolutely. They need something, even though they have Goff. Yeah, sure. Goff made it to the Super Bowl, this and that, but it's still Goff, and he's showed that he can't really do anything under pressure. I think Galladay probably end up getting tagged. I think because it's just then they're locked in.
Yeah, like I said, it'll be interesting. Like I said, with him being hurt and seeing how he bounces back, and if he's the same guy that he was. All right, Anthony, what free agent wide receiver are you interested in seeing what happens?
Larry Fitzgerald, and I know this kind of sounds a little cliche, considering I feel like every single year it's always like, is he gonna be back or is he gonna retire? And obviously that's no different from this year, but I honestly think he's gonna retire after this last season. I think he's gonna do more of like an analysis, maybe even owning part of a team, to be honest. But I don't see him, if he decides to come back, it's only going to be with Arizona. But I don't see him going anywhere else other than that.
Yeah,
he's a part owner of the Phoenix Suns.
Is he really?
Yeah, he owns a part of them. Yeah.
There you go. Maybe he'll take over. But
Help out.
but yeah, I mean, he's obviously his production's gone down, and I think, whenever you need him in a game, I think he'll still show up, even though he's getting up there in age. But I think he's one of the more consistent veteran receivers in the league.
Oh
And
yeah.
I think that's a big attribute to have right now.
I could see him. Sorry, Craig, you go first.
I was gonna like kind of throw something big out there. I mean, yeah, Larry Fitzgerald's been with Cardinals forever. You know, brought them their only Super Bowl. I might be wrong. They have a Super Bowl with them. Yeah, with Kurt Warner. Yeah. I think maybe he'll take the vet minimum, and you imagine him on Kansas City. Now that's a clutch wide receiver. That's a go-to wide receiver. You know, he's going to catch the ball, and then you have Hardman and you got Hill to take the safeties off and to take the defense, the top off the defense. So because I think he's going to chase a ring.
If he wants to get a ring, I think that's definitely the way to go.
So say he does go to KC, do you think that they let go of Watkins? Because I feel like Watkins is in that role.
Gone.
Yeah.
Nah, I think Watkins is gone. I mean, he was good. When they first signed him, and he was had his good couple years in Buffalo. But once he got injured, I
feel like every week he's out with a hamstring.
He's always injured. Once he got his first injury, it's just downhill from there.
Yeah.
But my thing with Fitzgerald is I could see him, retiring, and then halfway through the year they have injuries to wide receivers or something, and they just call him up and say, "Hey, can you come back for a couple weeks?"
Kind of like how you wish Dallas did with Romo when that got hurt.
Honestly, like I said, in 2016, if they put Romo back in, I think they win a Super Bowl. But that's me. But
speaking of Romo, real fast, did you see that he peed his pants in the Super Bowl?
Did he really?
a little thing of a little dribble there. He tried blocking it and everything. It was kind of funny, but then he started talking with his hands. And they zoomed in on Barstool, man. They showed it.
I did not see that.
I love Barstool, man.
Google it. It's hilarious. It's everywhere. They talked about it on every players. They were ripping them.
That's so funny. Maybe he got a little too excited. It's just
he finally made it to a Super Bowl. What blame?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't blame him. I do the same.
Okay.
I'd pee myself to go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was gonna say I do that in a heartbeat.
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis. But all right, Mike, out of the wide receivers, who are you most excited, and where do you think they will go?
We're going to talk about the biggest TikTok star there is out there in the market. He's one of a kind, Juju Smith-Schuster, dancing on a logo, stuff like that. Look, Juju, you can't take away from him. He's an incredible quarterback. Oh, not quarterback, wide receiver. He's an incredible wide receiver. My bad. He's an incredible player for quarterbacks to throw to. That's what I'm going to say. And I think that if he can just handle his off-field issues, then he can be fine. He'll be fine. But he needs to put down the phone, put down the social media, and do your job when your job is needed. So you don't. The first thing you do when you get onto a field shouldn't be, man, I can't wait to dance in this team's logo. What dance should I come up with this time? And you go over that and talk about Corvettes and stuff like that while dancing in the middle of the logo. But I think that he's a very team-friendly wide receiver. And I think that any place he goes, that wide receiver core is definitely going to help out a lot. I think he's going to have tons of great seasons ahead of him. Those off the field issues can just deter players away from people like Juju, right? Because we've seen it before with others and getting more involved with outside activities other than their actual playing on the NFL. And I believe that Juju is a type of guy that can he mature? Possibly. I think he can. He just has to go to a team or I wouldn't say not Pittsburgh, but he needs to. The team's got to realize that, hey, you got nip in the butt. If you see him start acting up, say, hey, we don't do that here. Now our culture, not doing this, not that. You may have gotten away from that in Pittsburgh. No, we're not doing it here. You got to, chill out. Sure, TikTok videos are fine. I guess but it shouldn't be the priority of what they're doing and stuff like that. And I think that Juju, I don't think necessarily made it a priority, but I think just went about it too much and too far to the point where other teams had a chip on their shoulder just because of Juju himself, especially in that last 4-week stretch when they went 1-4 in that last 4 weeks. I mean, it's just a lot. Was it last 5 weeks? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Last 5 weeks they went 1-4. I am so out of place today, but yeah, definitely. I think Juju is going to be a really big name in the market. Someone that needs a wide receiver, definitely would go after.
I do think he cost himself some money with the TikTok dances, only from the point of, you made it a distraction from your team. And I think it'll show teams like, are you really in it for the team aspect, or are you just in it for your brand? And I think it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is to that.
In terms of distraction, who do you think is a bigger one, Odell or Juju?
Odell.
I think Odell.
I think when Odell,
the guy married a kicking net or apologized to it or whatever.
He did all. I think the distraction. I don't think Odell's that much of a distraction anymore. But I think that the Odell distraction probably maybe because of just New York media, but I don't know, was just so out there, and then just like this is just Juju doing Juju things, and now it's Odell just doing Odell things. So I think Odell things just went overboard.
I also to that point, I'd still think Odell's probably, even with all the distractions, a better teammate than Juju is.
Yeah,
I think so too. I feel, I don't know. I don't want to sound like I'm being biased as a Giants fan, but I think just Odell. I think it kind of got blown out of proportion. I mean, the whole thing with Josh Norman was just ridiculous. I kind of enjoyed watching it because I like seeing everything get gritty and everything, but it's like you see him acting out on the sidelines, getting all frustrated and hollering at people. Like, he gets labeled a diva for doing that, but then Brady does on the sideline. It's he's just a competitor. He's been doing this forever. It's like where's the line that you're like they're doing the exact same thing.
Yeah,
They're
well, I
both
think
hollering at their teammates and hollering. Like, what was it? I don't know if you saw the video. It was in the playoffs, but Tyreek Hill like pushed one of the coaches. I'm like, yeah, he just laid hands on his coach, and like nobody's like, well, you shouldn't do it. But
yeah.
No, apparently they're friends. So that whole thing, the fight at butt stuff. I think I like Juju. I think Juju will be a good pickup for somebody, but I don't think he's a 1. I think he's got to be like a 2. He can't have the main. And he's got to be a slot guy. But he's still a really good player, young, and still could produce in the league.
Yeah, I think his production it went down every year. I think he was one of those guys that you have to. I'm just not sold at him as being the guy and being worth like top receiver money.
That rookie year, though, man, his rookie year when they had Brown, he was great, and then Brown's gone.
I think Antonio kind of made Juju in a way.
Yeah, to that point, but this year you had Claypool, who was that guy who took people away. You had Deontay Johnson. I also think Big Ben's been going downhill, which is also hard to put on Juju.
Big Ben didn't just go downhill. He literally just fell off a cliff.
I cannot stand Roethlisberger.
Yeah, like I said, I can't see him getting big money. I think he cost himself some money this season, but it'll be interesting. I think he can still be a productive wide receiver, and I just don't think he's that guy that you really have to like scheme for and stuff. But all right, so this is a great running back class coming in. The top 5 that I have here are Aaron Jones, Kenyon Drake, Chris Carson, Phillip Lindsay, Leonard Fournette. The other notable ones are Bell, Gurley, Marlon Mack. Oh wait, Craig, we didn't get into your wide receiver.
I was going to say I think the best wide receiver out there on the market right now, and he's about to get paid because he is worth every dollar. Since 2019, the guy has had 42 contested catches. He's clutch. I also think that has to be mainly for the quarterback that he has, and he's had nothing lower than 1,100 yards in the past 2 seasons. Is Allen Robinson. Now that guy is a guy I'm hoping the Jets will go with. Personally. Here's a guy. Now here's a guy. Allen Robinson is such a he's still young. He's 27. He's been in the league for 6 years. You know,
Jesus.
the guy is so clutch. He's your number one true go-to wide receiver. He put it up. He's coming down with it. You know, as like I said, 42 contested catches is absurd. Now that's because Mitchell Trubisky, I think, can't really throw the ball that well. Now, if you have him with a quarterback that could hit him in stride, and it'd be the numbers he put up is going to be scary. You know, the guy only has like 6 touchdowns like a year, which is still a good amount. You know, but he could. I think he's just going to strive into so much more, and I look forward to seeing him go into wear the Jets green with Sean Watson throwing on the ball. You know, Super Bowl vision 56 against Tom Brady and his Buccaneers. You know, like I said, Jet fans win the offseason, bro. We win the offseason.
And then lose in the regular season. But yeah, I think I'm not comparing him to DeAndre Hopkins, but I think he's got the same pedigree as him where it didn't matter who the quarterback was. He was still going to produce and put up numbers.
But he put up 1,500 yards with Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
Absurd.
No, I mean, he's insanely talented, and he deserves every bit of the money he's going to get.
He's going to get paid.
Anthony, Mike, you have any comments on Robinson before we move on?
I think that big body wide receivers kind of like Robinson, or like that ones that can make contested catches or something you just need in the NFL nowadays, because all these talented cornerbacks on the other side, there's not always a chance that you're going to be outrunning them all the time or maybe route running against them. But if you have that, if you can outmuscle them for that football, that's going to speak huge numbers, kind of like an A.J. Brown type of thing, how he's coming to his own in Tennessee. I mean, like, you have those guys that you have to, they play physical football, and that is the type of wide receiver that needs to come in this team. I think they don't come easy though. I think you need to do a good price for them.
Yeah, I hate when yeah. I'm just
all right, good talk.
I gave up on that one. It's never good to just come easy,
All right. So let's move on to running backs. Like I said, we have Aaron Jones, Kenyon Drake, Chris Carson, Phillip Lindsay, Fournette,
Oh my God.
Bell and Gurley
like
and Mack are some of the other notable ones. Mike, let's start off with you. Who from this running back class intrigues you the most?
The one that intrigues me the most is none other than the good old Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake, I think, is a very, very slept-on running back, and I think that he's definitely one that's going to help out any team he goes to immediately. Kind of, like they talked about wide receivers, but this guy, I mean, he put up, I think, around 1,000 yards per all total yards, and I think he had close to 1,000 rushing yards. If I'm gonna, he had 955 rushing yards and 137 receiving yards. So pros for him though, he's only 27. He's not quite out of his prime yet. But for a running back, they tend to age a little bit quicker in the league, as they call it. And also the thing is though, he had 3 fumbles, which is somewhat concerning, especially if you're being a running back getting the majority of snaps. Those turnovers would be absolutely crushing. But he also had 10 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. He didn't have a receiving touchdowns in a year, but he had 10 rushing touchdowns this year. And I think that on a team that was, like Arizona, how they are with the whole offense, I think that he produced really, really well when he did. And I mean, he's definitely great. And he only played 15 out of 16 games. So if he actually played me that one more game, he could have possibly hit another 1,000 yards rushing yards, and I think that would have been really cool. And yeah, that's why I think that he's going to be a very, very valuable running back in this market coming up.
Any places do you think he might go in specific?
I don't see him necessarily like in a certain spot. I just think that I think to any team out there that just has doubts about their running back, take Kenyon Drake. Just take Kenyon Drake. Try to go after him, because once you have those doubts, then those are going to spread over, and things are going to happen. So I think that, I don't know, as we mentioned before plenty of times, the Jets obviously need some more players and stuff like that. I don't know, possibly a team out there, maybe like the Patriots. I know Patriots have some good running backs out there, but I think they could benefit from Kenyon Drake, of course. And I think that that could all work out.
All right. Craig, what about you? Running back wise, who are you excited about?
I'm excited about Marlon Mack. Yeah, he tore his ACL early in the beginning of the season, but this guy's 24 years old. Over 1,000 yards rushing in 2019 season and a couple of receptions. The guy catching the backfield. I think he is going to be a running back that slept on, probably in more of a second wave pickup. Someone's going to get a great steal with him because I think he's got a chip on his shoulder to prove that I'm that guy, because they came, they had Naeem Hines in there with them, and they got,
Taylor,
Jonathan Taylor, that rookie, and they're like, oh, I think he's gonna have a chip to prove that the Colts made a mistake, I think, but because he's young, man, 24 that's young for a good running back, and I mean, it doesn't have to be a starter in this league. You could do two running backs, they're kind of steering away from a single running back in NFL now. I think only one pass catcher and one that's just going to run up the gut, but he kind of like does both. He's a hard runner. I think. Being a Jets fan, I want everybody. I want every single good running back. But I think he would be a really good fit because the Shanahan system. Going there. The guy. They use 3 running backs. We have Ty Johnson, we have P. Ryan, who I'm really excited about. But I think Marlon Mack, he could help anybody out. Just dump it off and go. I think he might be a guy that may replace Philip Lindsay, in Denver, even though Melvin Gordon could catch the ball. But, it's Melvin Gordon. He's getting, it's like he runs with cement, on his feet.
Yeah.
It's not fast. And other places, maybe replaces Kenyon Drake in Arizona, unless they draft a guy. But
yeah,
I think Marlon Mack is going to be a pretty good surprise.
All right, Anthony, what about you?
I'm looking at Todd Gurley. I think it's kind of, I don't want to say that's it for him, but I think he's going to be the kind that would ask for a lot of money when in reality he's in this kind of the same market as like Austin Eckler and Mark Ingram, probably not worth more than like a 2-year, 11 mil, 10 mil maybe. But if I had to pick where I want to see him, I'd probably say throw him in Baltimore. Let's see how he fans out in there. I think something to like a completely different start for him. I don't think Atlanta was great for him at all. But again, like the market isn't good. Like he's riding up there with like Tariq Cohen and like Giovanni Bernard. Like it's not, and it sucks for him after seeing how good he was in with the Rams and seeing him go. I thought that was just kind of it. But I personally want to see him in Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't see them making that move because they have Dobbins. But
Yeah.
I mean, if you want
Gus.
to do, I mean, something with 2 backs, maybe, he replaced Ingram if you can get him for cheap.
Yeah. I mean, and like Craig said, it's just not, the NFL is in more of a 2-back league now. You're not relying. It's not like a McCaffrey or a Zeke or a Saquon, where it's just strictly them as a sole running game. But
Yeah,
I think he would thrive better in like a duo back.
all right. So for me, running back wise, I'm interested in 2 guys really. I'm interested in Chris Carson. I want to see. I don't know if he's back in Seattle, but I think he's a guy who runs hard. And he showed he can catch the ball a little bit this year. And I think he could be another guy that if David Montgomery ends up leaving Chicago, I see him going to Chicago. Just going somewhere where he can work with other people. And then I think Le'Veon Bell is also an interesting one. I think he probably does the same thing he did this year and Well, yeah, I think he does the same thing and goes ring chasing. I think, he takes the minimum to go to like a Tampa Bay, or he tries to stay with the Chiefs, or,
Can't
stays
join
with,
him, beat him, right? I mean, you can't beat him, join him.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he has. I think that Chiefs offense didn't really suit him ideal. I don't know. I think he is washed, but I think you have to find a system where you can
You think
give him
he's
the
washed?
ball.
He is.
Real quick, off top, with running back, do you see how Andy Reid just loves himself like some old running backs? Like last year, LaShawn McCoy gets cut, picks up LaShawn McCoy, doesn't use him, wins the Super Bowl, right? He picks up freaking Le'Veon Bell, doesn't use him, loses. I mean, there might be something there with Le'Veon Bell, but I like how McCoy. I think whoever just has to pick up LaShawn McCoy because he was
McCoy's
like,
still on the team though.
No, he's with the Bucks. It's like a LeGarrette
Yeah, that's what I'm
situation.
saying.
It's like a LeGarrette Blunt situation. First, he wins it with New England. Then he goes and wins it with the Eagles.
Yeah.
And then I think he was getting picked up for another team, but just I think they ended up cutting him. But like, someone just sign LaShawn McCoy, and your team's going to go to Super Bowl. I think
That being
that's
said,
going to happen.
do you want the Jets to sign LaShawn?
Sign him. Anything, man. I mean, anything.
Anything.
I think we got the.
If it brings the rings, bring it on.
My God, one before I die. One.
I feel you on that one.
One.
All right, so let's move into real quick some defensive guys before we move on to something else. I think the defensive player I'm most interested to see if Barrett goes somewhere else. I'm also interested to see what happens with Clowney. I think he was pretty good this year for Tennessee, and I think he's going to get probably not as much money as he likes, but I think he's going to get good money to go somewhere and play. What are you guys' thoughts on Clowney?
Yeah, I don't know where he's going to end up, and I think you're right. He's not going to get as much money as he probably should get, I think, but I don't. I think
he ends up back with the Titans personally. I mean, he finished there. He got injured towards the end of the season. I think they liked him. I think there were some reports out that there's some mutual interest of him staying with the Titans. That was a guy who betted on himself and didn't work out too well. I was excited for him. I was pumped. I was on the Jets to go after him. We haven't had an edge, since the 80s.
Yeah,
edge rusher. So
yeah,
I was going for him.
He didn't have a sack on the season, which isn't like too awful. He only played 8 games, right? But he also didn't have a sack on that on the season for the Titans at least. And so, but he did have a forced fumble, which is cool, and he hit the QB 6 times. Where would you take that for? And I think possibly more of a run stopper at this point. Or if he can just get into a really good system that really fits him well, he could probably be back to like at least 5-6 sacks this season. But you just got to see with him.
All right, Anthony. Any defensive players that you're excited to see either stay or go?
At first, no, but Josh Norman just kind of crossed my mind a little bit.
Okay.
I think he's unrestricted, and after Derrick Henry killed him, I don't know. I think he should just call it quits after that.
Just took his soul right out of his body, man, with that freaking arm.
And Norman was good with Carolina. I'd give him a little bit in Washington, but I don't think he was ever all that. His name was only out there because of the stuff with Odell, in my opinion. I don't know. I think he was just kind of overhyped, but
I think it was a big part of that Carolina defense that went to a Super Bowl. But I think after that, I think it's one of those things where with every contract, once you pay the guy the big money, you expect him to be that guy, and I think it's hard to live up to contracts. There's so few guys live up to their contracts, and I think he's one of those guys that he wasn't a lockdown anymore.
Tom Brady's living up to his contract.
like I said, it's hard. It's hard to live up to.
Yeah. And I don't want to say that Norman wasn't good in Buffalo this year. I mean, he showed up in spurts. He had some really good moments. I just don't know. I just don't think he's.
He did more than he ever did with Washington.
Yeah.
That's because Sean McDermott, just knew him as a player and he knew the system. But I think he's a wash corner. I think it's all name at this point.
Yeah. All right, Mike. What about you?
Good old Richard Sherman. Now Richard Sherman has, I think had a pretty decent time at San Francisco. He is on the older side. I think he's like 33 years old coming up this year, which is, older for someone in the NFL, especially the position of cornerback, where you have to rely more on your positioning than raw speed and stuff like that. And I think that, he only played 5 games in 2020. Right. He had 1 interception within those 5 games, which is really cool. But I just think that he's not going to be with the San Francisco 49ers anymore. He said he wants to go to a team that has a competitive spirit. But you also have teams out there like, as I'm going to mention them again. Here we go. Craig, you ready for this? Like the Jets, where you have people that he's familiar with Robert Saleh as their new head coach. And I think he can go there. He's probably going to go to a locker room, not necessarily needs a pure one starter like Sherman, which he definitely can be, I still think, but also someone who can get in that locker room and just show that veteran presence. And I think that's really important in the NFL, especially with like people and the TikToks and stuff like that, like someone there that can like lead by example and be in that and be a veteran. Just teach the younger people some new things before you have to head out of the league yourself. Because as I said, he's 33. He could very well retire at 35, or 34. So I think that he's gonna go to his place that just not necessarily needs a really good starting corner, which I think he probably will end up going place that needs a starting corner, but just a place that needs a locker room change or a new leader in that defensive locker room.
I've been hearing a lot of things from Sherman. People are linking him to the Cowboys too, just because Dan Quinn coached him in Seattle when they had the Legion of Boom, and Cowboys need corners more than anything right now. So there's rumors of him going there, which I think he'd be a good fit there. I think it's going to be a team where he doesn't have to be the number one. I think it's going to be a team where he can, stay on his side of the field. He doesn't have to follow anyone and just try to lock down his side of the field. Anthony, Craig, any other comments on Sherman?
Not really.
I like Sherman. I'm a Jets fan, hoping to him to come here because Jets have a lot of young corners, and he could be a mentor type. But I don't think him being a number one is definite. So I could see him being one just to go where the corner, where the secondary is kind of solidified, where they have a solid, like Baltimore or maybe a Tennessee. But someone that's still able to compete. So yeah. I think I could see something like that.
All right. So Craig, you have a guy who's not technically a free agent, but you think is going to be out for your guy.
Yeah. No, I mean the Texans are crumbling right in front of us. Everything inside, nobody likes the Easterby. Their president just stepped away, right? Or the vice president. I think it was. He just quit. Like, I'm out. Forget this. So I think JJ Watt is going to be like, yo, cut me, trade me, do something. I'm not coming in. He doesn't have any guaranteed money. So if anything, what they're going to do is they're just going to save themselves like 13 mil. So and they should do the right thing. He's an older guy. He's on his way. He doesn't have much years left. Let him go chase a ring. Let him get a ring. The guy is proven that he's like a 9-time Pro Bowler. All team, like all defense, like a first team. Like this guy is incredible. Great player. So I want to see him go. I could see him going to like a Buffalo Bills, which I would hate to see, but I could see McDermott going after someone like that, and that would just be gross, and I would not watch the game. But I think him going to someone like that, maybe to Tampa. I could maybe if they lose Barrett, to take the vet minimum. Everyone's going to take the vet minimum now. Everybody, to get to chase a ring. It's going to be like the NBA now. Everyone teamed up. Go to the Nets. And let's get Harden. Let's get Durant. Let's get Kyrie. Kind of deal. This is going to be the NFL's changing over to it. Let's just go chase some rings.
Yeah, it's becoming more of a player-driven league now.
Exactly. Players are taking a stand and starting to show. A staffer demanding a trade. And all these guys, I don't want out, this and that. So I think JJ Watt either traded or just one of those cuts, because I think they're going to do the right thing for him.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a great offseason. Really,
I mean, he's been the face of your franchise for how many years now?
Yeah. He's gross. He's like 32, and he is still a dominant defensive player. Like, dominant.
He takes care of himself. I mean, he's
a beast.
Yeah, he's an animal.
Yeah, I would love if he came to the Cowboys. Just
oh my god.
Listen, I'm just saying we need all the defensive help. I would take any defensive player that would like to come here. Anyone.
I think of JJ Watt. I feel like I like the Rocky music starts playing. The guy's punching a dead cow and eating raw eggs, doing push-ups, running up, the stairs, and the stairs crumbling behind him. Though he's so huge.
He lives off of tuna melts from Subway.
That's not actually real tuna. Did you see that?
It's not real tuna.
But they love it so much they built one in their backyard. But
that's still gonna get his order, right?
It's Jets. But no, like I said, I think he's a great locker room guy. The stuff that he's done for the city of Houston is ridiculous. Raising money after hurricanes, and his work in the community, I think, is second to none.
Did you guys see how he went up to Watson and apologized for wasting a year?
Yeah,
that's how team driven he is. It's just
he was like, this team should be 11 win team at least, and sorry, wasted one of your years by our sloppy play. It's just like
him
apologizing to the fans for not, he's like
calling guys out too on his team. Like, you don't want effort. It's not. You don't have to be here, and it's like calling players out. And he's like, if he called me out, I'd be like, all right, man, I'm sorry. Try harder.
Please don't hurt me.
That's it.
Dinner on me next Tuesday.
Sorry, Mr. Bond.
I'm just gonna go home.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's definitely an intriguing guy who can improve any defensive line he goes to.
Do you think he runs hard?
I think so. All right. So with the off season, we have the draft coming up. I wanted to run through run through. Sorry, I was trying to go to the website, and it told me I can't minimize Zoom when I'm recording. So
you trying to look up Mel Kiper's, or
I know I have the NBC Sports mock draft up here. I figured we'd run through. We'll go pick by pick real quick and talk about it. See what we think they would do, and we'll just do a real quick summary of this. I think maybe next week we'll do our own. We'll do a 32 team mock draft, and so I just want to run through this real quick. The first pick obviously is the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Trevor Lawrence. I think we're all in agreement with this one.
This shocked the world. Take Justin Fields.
That's
not going to happen now.
That would be like the Baker Mayfield, where no one expected Baker Mayfield to go number one.
Yeah, but no, Trevor Lawrence is no doubt, unquestioned, number one overall pick. The guy is absolutely dominant, man. The guy's a beast.
If you don't pick him, that's how you lose your job as a GM.
Oh yeah. I mean, they just got hired, Urban Meyer and everything. If they don't take Trevor Lawrence, you're going to see the guy say, "Everyone fired, leave,
everyone,
gone."
Goodbye."
Yeah, All right. So number two, they have the Jets taking Zach Wilson. Obviously, I know you guys are hoping for Deshaun Watson, but if that doesn't happen, what are your thoughts of drafting Zach Wilson?
It's a gamble, in my opinion. The guy hasn't really faced many people. He's torn his labrum in the shoulder. I think he tore up something in his knee. I don't know if it was the ACL. The guy could make a throws though. I mean, the guy's got a dart. Like I watched one of his bowl games. His last game. The guy's got an absolute dart. That's something you can see. Is the guy going to lob you like a rainbow, or is he going to throw a laser? Right in like an Aaron Rodgers like throw. They're calling him. I forgot what it is. It's like Mahomes wise, how he throws and how he plays. Which
the dollar store Mahomes.
What is it?
The dollar store Mahomes.
The dollar, no, yeah. So it's just keeping mocking him or saying that he's going to be somewhat like Mahomes is exciting. It's a gamble, but he's definitely. I don't like Justin Fields as in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think I think the Jets are interesting because they have so many ways that they can go. Because if they decide that they want to keep Darnold, I think you can trade out of this pick to someone who wants a quarterback.
I was going to say, what are the odds do you think that the Jets would trade out of this?
50-50, honestly.
It's really up in the air. There's three things that can happen with the Jets quarterback wise this year, and I'm sure Mike would be able to probably definitely agree with this. It's either one, you're trading the farm for Deshaun Watson. Two, you're gonna draft Zach Wilson, or
Right.
three, you're keeping Darnold. It's gonna, obviously you're gonna need to know if you're keeping Darnold, but you won't know until they're on the clock.
Well, yeah,
if they don't trade for Watson.
I'm about to say one thing I think about is potential trade back, because if we're going to end up keeping Darnold, then you don't want to take someone up too high. I know like Devontae Smith is up there, but trade back to someone maybe like the Bengals or like someone like 4 or 5 right there, and you make them pay for it. Give them another first rounder and along with that, and I think that you'd be set. And I think the Jets have the best position right now in the draft right now when it comes to being able to move and flexibility at the moment. And I think that whatever they choose, they have to choose wisely here, because it's probably going to be the offseason that's probably going to help build the bedrock of like what's going to happen in the future, and whether that is a nice, build or one that's just sloppy, that's going to come out of this draft. That's all I got to say.
What if I could see them maybe pulling off a trade with the Panthers. With the
that's something I see too, because the Panthers were very aggressive with trying to get Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
They were one that were very, very aggressive and with Teddy Bridgewater. I have an idea that I think in a draft day, what's going to end up happening if it's not Deshaun Watson, the Jets decide to take Zach Wilson. I think what Jets are going to end up doing is trading the late 23rd overall pick and Darnold for Carolina's number 7, I believe. Yeah, no, number 8, excuse me, and their second round pick of this year, and maybe they'll be able to get a wide receiver. To hope at that in that area, there's a very good possibility a good wide receiver would be there. So that's one of my ideas.
So my only thing with that is the Panthers were the coaches for the Senior Bowl. They got to see Mac Jones. They got to see Ian Book and all those quarterbacks up close. And it's not like they don't need a quarterback. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater, I don't think is the future there. And from what I heard is that they fell in love with Mac Jones. So if they think they can get him at 8, I don't think they trade up.
Yeah, they could trade back and get Mac Jones. I don't see Mac Jones being anywhere near.
Yeah, like I said, I think
Wilson.
they stay put and go after like a Trey Lance or,
Yeah.
I mean, I could see. I don't think that they would trade back from 8 because I think that that's where they feel comfortable taking a guy. But so the third pick is the Miami Dolphins taking Jamar Chase, the wide receiver from LSU.
That would be a total Dolphins thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I wouldn't argue. Then you have Parker and Ham. I think that creates a great wide receiver room.
I think they should go with Penny Sewell.
Yeah, they did give up their left tackle. They did trade him.
That's all I got this pick. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can't go wrong with either one of them.
That's why I see the Bengals being a very aggressive team trying to move up because they need someone to protect their face of the franchise, Burrow. That guy's on the rush, So I think, everyone's thinking Sewell's going to Bengals. So I think they're going to be a very aggressive team because they're going to have to see what Miami does. But if they see Miami take a wide receiver, they are jumping for joy.
Yeah, because the fourth pick they have Justin Fields going to Atlanta, which I think would be a great fit for both of them.
That. Yeah,
I can see that
happen. They're not picking number 4 again. It was a crazy year. Matt Campbell was terrible head coach with a new offense. Arthur Smith, I see them not being a top 4, a top 5 pick. Back in the 20s, and you're not in any spot in 20s to get a QB that's to the future. Because Matt Ryan being older and so much money, they're going to need to look into the future.
Yeah, and it'll also be interesting. Do you get rid of Julio Jones? Like, what are you going to do with him? I think this is going to be a big offseason for the Falcons as well. So I think getting Fields would be a good step towards securing their future. I think he's going to be an okay quarterback. I think he does a good job of holding on to the ball, doesn't, turn the ball over.
Yeah, he's got a deep ball. I mean, that guy can throw the ball deep too.
And he's mobile, which is something that they haven't had a mobile quarterback since Vic.
Yeah. And he's got grit, that guy. That guy's got grit, man. Like he's gonna battle. Like just like going against Clemson. That guy was in physical pain, and you watched that guy was squinting in pain.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a huge
and he went back and played with Alabama.
Yeah. I'm a huge Fields fan. I want him in New York. I know that's not gonna fucking happen, but
Daniel Jones, man, stumbling along.
I can't. I can't.
All right, we'll get into the Giants in a second. The fifth pick is Sewell going to the Bengals, which I think
that just works.
That's just the safest pick they could make. That's the safest pick they could make.
I think the Bengals should take Pitts.
Personally, the tight end is a quarterback's best friend.
Yeah, I mean they haven't really had a tight end since.
They have Ozuma. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's pretty good. He got hurt this year, but he's pretty good.
I think that he could help out the line and blocking for Burrow to prevent another injury.
Yeah.
You get that left tackle though. You have him and he's apparently they're saying that if I just follow a lot with the Jets. They were every beat writer for the Jets. Like you draft Sewell, you move Mekhi Becton. Like that's how good this tackle is. Right. That's what everyone says. You move Mekhi Becton somewhere like left guard or right tackle. Sewell is like what you would find in the definition of left tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they have the Philadelphia Eagles at 6 taking Devonta Smith.
No.
That won't work. They don't take wide receivers.
Which is why I think they take him. To be honest with you, he's just too small. I don't think he's 175 pounds. I weigh more than he does.
Robbie Anderson's a small guy, and he's that guy's still pretty good. He was 1,000-yard receiver this year, multi-touchdown.
I mean, he could. I think they could take. I think Marvin Harrison was a small wide receiver too. There's a small, but I don't know.
I think they could take a certain from Alabama.
I could see that too. They need secondary help as well, but I think they do take Devonta Smith. I rather them take Devonta Smith over Jamar Chase though, because I think Chase is going to be good.
Jamar Chase. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Chase has been some guy that I've been looking at for a while now coming into this draft. And I think that, he's still got it. I mean, he's a great product of LSU, and I think that he is probably the best wide receiver in this draft. I'm not going to No doubts
yeah,
about it.
I think so. All right, so number 7, the Detroit Lions are taking Micah Parsons. They have. What are your thoughts on Parsons, the linebacker out of Penn State? Anybody? Don't hesitate.
He can
We're all
hit
jumping at
players.
once.
He
All right,
can
guys,
hit the
settle
players.
Well,
I mean, I think he's one of, if not the best linebacker in this class.
yeah.
Great blitzer. He's really good. He was a really good blitzer for Penn State. I watched a couple of them, and he made some flash plays, and that would definitely help.
Yeah,
But then
What-
they haven't had a good linebacker. The only rusher they ever had was Ndamukong Suh. You know, he was stomping on people.
With I don't know, with Detroit, like after the trade for Goff, I saw a thing that they were like that they're planning for the years ahead, and I don't think, much like with Stafford, I don't think they see Goff being there to stay. So I think there's a chance they can go with Trey Lance and have him sit behind Goff for 2 years and then see what he can do after that.
yeah. I mean, that's definitely an option. I think Goff's contract is probably too big for them to do that, but I mean, I could see that. Number 8, the Carolina Panthers are taking Trey Lance. I watched him. He's got a great arm. He can move. I think the only knock on him is strength of competition that he played with at South Dakota State. But other than that, I think he's probably just as good as Wilson or Fields.
Yeah, I see it.
I could see what you're saying. I don't think he's as good as Wilson or Fields. I think that Wilson and Fields are better, by good margin. That's why he's not going to be the second or first quarterback picked in this draft, or third. So I mean, I like Trey Lance. I don't think he's the greatest quarterback to come out of the draft by a long shot. I mean, I'm reading the report. He says he has size and arm strength and athleticism, which all works out, right? But I mean, I think that he can maybe take a year. He's probably not going to be a starter first year. He's probably could take a year, sit behind someone that's been doing this for a while, and then go into the next year, hopefully with some good upside, and maybe he can prove me wrong and be a franchise quarterback. But I don't really see him doing that for now at the moment. Things can change. I really hope he does do well though in the league. So.
I mean, if he goes to Carolina, let's say at least 1 year behind Teddy Bridgewater.
I like that. I like that pick a lot, to be honest with you, because Joe Brady is an up and coming offense coordinator. He's already shown that he was pretty good. He got head coaching interviews after just 1 year in the NFL, and him sitting behind Matt Rule and being able to just sit there and listen to the play calls and understanding everything. The guy's got the size, the arm, he's got the talent. Like he can make all the throws. He's got the athleticism. Athleticism. I still can't say
Athleticism.
Yes. Yeah, athleticism. There we go.
I love words.
Yeah, it's hard to word sometimes. He's got he checks all the boxes. But he does need to sit back so the game could slow down a little bit for him in the NFL wise. And he won't know until he gets in there. But I think you just throw him out there in his first year. It would not be really good for him. So I think he has to sit behind and learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
So earlier we brought up if the Jets possibly traded with Carolina. So if that went through, Jets would have 8, right? That's where we're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if that went through, I could see the Jets taking Jamar Chase at this pick.
If he's there,
I
don't think
if he's there, obviously.
If he's not there, and that'd be the case, I would see the Jets taking Patrick Surtain, whatever, from Alabama. Because we need good secondary help. We need a good corner, and that guy, he shut it down in Alabama. That defense is gross. One of the best defenses he's had. There's a lot of people are saying.
Yeah,
That's a
and
lot.
that's the perfect segue because number 9, the Broncos take Patrick Surtain, cornerback from Alabama.
Alabama.
I would be really upset about because I want him to fall to 10, but here he goes at 9. I think it's a great pick. I think the Broncos secondary will get back to what it used to be back when they had Harris and what's his name? I think he's
Talib.
Talib. I think Surtain is I think he's the smoothest corner. I think he makes it look the most natural. And I think I think he's a great player, and I think he's definitely the best corner in this draft.
He's got the size, got the length. He's big. He's fast.
He runs hard.
He's good. He's right off the bat. He's on press cover. He's right up. He's not giving you any cushion. You know, he's like right in your face. You know? He's not going to let you get past him. He's going to make you work hard to do that.
Yeah. Number 10, the Dallas Cowboys take Caleb Farley, cornerback from Virginia Tech. I watched a lot. He's a good tackler. I think him and Surtain are like 1A and 1B in this draft. I would not be upset with this pick. I also think that the Cowboys would take Slater, the tackle from Northwestern, to maybe play guard for a year until they get rid of Tyron Smith. But I could see either Slater or Farley going here. My dream pick would be Kyle Pitts, but I don't think it's going to happen. But they have Kyle Pitts going 11 to the Giants. I think Kyle Pitts is probably one of the top prospects in this whole draft overall. It'll just be interesting. Giants. It'll be interesting to see how people value him as a tight end.
Yeah, I think Giants end up just going best player available at this point, because the corners are gone, the middle linebacker, the linebackers gone there, wide receivers are gone, something they could really use.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity of a trade back scenario potentially for the Giants, pick up some picks, help build around Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I could see them taking Slater here too. I think Slater's just as good as Sewell is. Watching his tape, I thought he's just as natural. I mean, I think he opted out this year, so there's not a lot of tape of him this year, but I think Slater could be the pick there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm crossing my fingers for Devontae Smith to still be here. I doubt it, but I'm crossing my fingers for it.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins and the Eagles are too wide receiver needy for that.
And the Jets even that.
Well, there's always next year.
But wide receiver is a position the past couple of years that you can get a good one late. I mean, just look at last year's class.
Yeah, stacked.
I think outside of Rager, I think everyone else that was drafted in the first round showed out. But number 12, San Francisco takes Slater, the tackle from Northwestern, which, like I said, I think he's one of the best tackles. He's also got guard flexibility, which I think makes him an intriguing prospect. I kind of see him as kind of like the Travis Frederick pick when the Cowboys took him, where it's not a sexy pick, but it's a guy who's going to be solid for you, and you can build that offensive line around.
Yeah.
Number 13, we have the Los Angeles Chargers taking Christian Darrisaw, the tackle out of Virginia Tech. I haven't seen a lot on him, but just looking at the picture of him, the guy is huge. He is 6'5", 314 pounds.
Jesus Christ.
Big guy.
Yeah, from what I can see, he's definitely a mobile guy. He's got the ability to move, which I think will help. I think this is a good tackle class coming in. I think it's one of the better ones in recent
got a lot of tackles, and there's a lot of edge rushers in this class.
Yeah.
Deep. They're deep of edge rushers.
I think the edge rushers in this class, it's more of like a late first, early second is where you're going to find the real value for them. But the first edge rusher comes off next at 14. Kwity Paye from Michigan. This guy's just quick off the edge.
They have him going to Washington.
They have him. No, Minnesota has 14.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he's probably the best pass rusher in this class.
You think so?
I think so.
You think so?
You don't say. Yeah, I mean, he definitely gets at a quarterback a lot, and I think that's something that a lot of teams do need now with the defenses. So the Vikings are definitely one of the teams that aren't completely out of like fixing their team up a little bit. They had a little bit of turmoil last year. But I think that, this guy could really help out on that Minnesota defense that, has been kind of lackluster in a way. So this will definitely help out a lot.
So number 15, the Patriots take Mac Jones, the quarterback from Alabama. I think this is where we're going to cut it off at 15. But Mac Jones to the Patriots, I think, makes a lot of sense. I think
that makes the most sense to me too. The most Patriot pick.
Yeah, I think he's a safe quarterback. I think he's got a good deep ball, takes care of the football. And I think he just has the smarts for it. I think you watched him make great decisions. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way, gets rid of it, knows where he's going with it.
He'll make him be a real good quarter. But
if he had Trevor Lawrence's hair, he looked like every woman at James Madison University.
He'll go to Belichick, and Belichick can make him be a great quarterback, but he won't be the best Alabama quarterback ever to come out. My boy Joe Namath will always be the best Alabama quarterback coming out.
True.
Just gotta just say that out loud. I gotta let the world hear it. Let them know.
So I do want to. I want to go one more pick, just because they had the Arizona Cardinals taking Jalen Waddle, the wide receiver from Alabama, and I
love watching him play.
I think that would be so scary.
That would be that's a really
DeAndre Hopkins.
He's just gonna get healthier.
Watkins and Hoddle, or Hopkins and Waddle. I mean, would just say I put the names together again. Watkins,
DeAndre Waddle and Hopkins.
Right.
Jalen
But
Hopkins.
I think Jalen Waddle just is absolutely the most electric wide receiver. I mean, I don't think he's necessarily the best of them all, but I think he's just so fun to watch. And I think watch him get open in the space and doing his thing, even with Devontae Smith there too. It's just like I just think he's like one of the best. I just love watching this guy play.
It's so scary it's so scary to see that wide receiver group. I think it's like when you watch that running back room from a couple of years ago when they had Derrick Henry and all those guys, where you had last year Henry Ruggs, Waddle, Devonta Smith. They had so many wide receivers that go in the first round the past 2 years. It's ridiculous the way they recruit.
It's like death taxes and Alabama winning a national championship. It's just it's just the thing.
Absolutely. All right, so I think I don't have anything else. Any other news you guys want to talk about? Anything that I missed?
Klay Thompson is number 8 in the All-Star voting. I just want to put that out there. just saying. He hasn't played a freaking game. He's 8.
I just want to say also, I'm not sure we discovered this. Have we talked about, I'm just trying to remember now, this whole Russell Wilson thing in Seattle? Just something I want to touch on real quick is that it's something to think about. That's definitely a story that's going to develop as he's come out about his frustrations, I think, yesterday being February 10th, 2021. And so with that, I have nothing else to say, but just to keep an eye on that, and hopefully maybe next week we'll get some more headlines about Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, you go, Craig.
The Jets what?
The Jets have 5 first-round picks waiting for you, Seattle. 2 of which are yours. You know, you want them back?
Just in yeah. Apparently, I read multiple teams have called, but Seattle's obviously not interested.
Right.
Because why would you? He's probably a top 3 quarterback in the NFL.
Anywhere.
I think Daniel Jones for Russell Wilson is a pretty even trade.
I can see the even. Oh yeah, it's definitely even.
And I think that they would tell you to update your resume if you're going home.
I think that name off the list there.
Yeah.
You need to turn force trades off in Madden.
His name is Danny Dimes for a reason. He just doesn't miss, man. He doesn't.
Oh, he misses a lot.
There's a tweet, one of the
straight.
guys that covers the Cowboys, and he's like, odds if Russell Wilson gets traded, where it'll go. And it was like 3-1 to the Raiders and like 6-1 to the Dallas. And I was like, I don't think so.
6-1 to the Dallas.
To the Dallas.
To the Dallas. That's a name though.
What Dallas?
To watch is Derek Carr
getting
traded.
Yeah, I think that John. I feel like he just gets bored with quarterbacks because I feel like he just wants different ones every year. He just wants all of them.
He's the high school whore of coaches.
Yeah, I mean, if he could draft every quarterback, I think he would.
He would. You sit there doing, breaking down film with him when he was just an analyst and he was doing all the draft stuff, and he was like questioning all the guys that straight look, looking like Chucky, Yeah. And he was, you're my top guy. You're one of my favorite guys. He said it to every single prospect.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think we are going to wrap it up today.
A long one today.
Oh, Bo's making his appearance. He wants to say goodbye to all the people. All right. So that'll do it for the Indoor Tailgate. We'll be back next week and talk some more sports. All right. See you later.
Have a good one. Peace.